Now we transition to the 1980s, and Lynwood Lewis, Senator Lewis, is here to describe the happenings of that time. Senator Lewis was born in Parksley in 1961. His family farmed here on the eastern shore of Virginia. He currently resides in Accomack, where he is raising his son, John Zadig. Lynwood graduated from Hampton-Sydney College in 1984 and went on to receive his Juris Doctorate from the University of Richmond. He continues the general practice of law in Accomack, Virginia, as a partner in the firm of Custis, Dix, Lewis, and Custis. He was named the 2013 Outstanding Citizen of the Year by the Eastern Shore Chamber of Commerce. He's an active participant and leader in various civic organizations. First elected to the House in 2003, he served in the House for 10 years, and in January 2014, as was alluded to earlier, was elected to the Virginia Senate to represent the 6th District, where he sits on the Committees of Agriculture, Conservation, Natural Resources, Commerce, Labor, Local Government, and Rehabilitation and Social Services. Senator Lewis, we thank you for being with us today.
Thank you all. I want to thank you for asking me to be a part of this very special day. To anybody on the Eastern Shore, it's a very special day. And I want to echo, before I give my remarks about the 80s, I want to echo a little bit about what Ralph said. I did not have the privilege to work with any of the previous executive directors, but I have had the privilege to work with Jeff Holland. Jeff and I spent a lifetime together one General Assembly session as we tried, as the bridge tunnel was a very big topic of discussion. I saw Wiley Mitchell come in earlier. Wiley joined us oftentimes, as did now Circuit Court Judge Glenn Croshaw, and Lucius was always there with us as well. And so we got to learn a lot about each other. I got to learn a lot about this facility as we would end the day, having fended off the ill-informed. Jeff would want to stay, and we would rehash the events of the day. And Lucius was always, let's get the hell out of here. and so they did. But it was one of the most stressful times, and yet one of the most rewarding times, and it reminded me, as I was preparing for this today, how important this facility is to all of us. I don't think there is any greater physical manifestation of the pride that Eastern Shore folks feel than this facility. And the pride comes from the fact that Lucius's dad, and then joined by several other Eastern Shore folks, came together to do what is the unthinkable. If you look back on that now, it's sort of like us trying to sit around a conference table and conceptualize a moonshot. It's an extraordinary feat, an extraordinary achievement, and you often wonder, now that I've spent 10 years in the legislature, in the public sector, if we could do something like that today, because of the extreme, the achievement and the tenacity that was involved. I also want to thank all the commissioners for their stewardship now, and present and former commissioners, and it is stewardship. The men and women who have served on that commission have always had a reputation as being first class in the way they approach the duties of that office, of that position. And also the staff and the workers here on the tunnel always have had excellent reputations for the service and the quality of service that they provide to the people who use this facility. So my decade is the 1980s. That was the year, or the year rather, that John Lennon was assassinated outside of his apartment in New York City. Pac-Man and Rubik's Cube were popular, and just 1 year later, there was an assassination attempt on President Ronald Reagan. In December of 1982, Bill Anderson retired as executive director of the Chesapeake Bay Tunnel District, and on January 1, 1983, James Brookshire Jr. assumed the position of executive director. The same year, Sally Ride became the first American woman in space. In 1985, the district's Series C bonds were brought out of default. The wreck of the Titanic was found, and the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded. It was an exciting time for the world and also for the CBBT. The bridge tunnel was officially named the Lucius J. Kellum Jr. Bridge Tunnel in August of 1987 in honor of the man who spearheaded the project as it moved from a vision to a reality. And Mr. Kellum served as a member of the commission from 1954 until his death in 1995 and was chairman for 39 years. In order to preserve the structure's identity and name recognition, however, it continues to be known as the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel. It was at the same time that the commission began investigating the possibility of building parallel tunnels a parallel crossing the facility. In-house studies and projections were made, and a comprehensive study was conducted in cooperation with the Virginia Department of Transportation. And the VDOT study concluded that parallel bridges, trestles, and roadways would be needed by the year 2000. And so here we stand today, again, hard to believe, on the 50th anniversary. So much has happened to our nation, our Commonwealth, and to the Eastern Shore. But again, this has been an incredible part of the Eastern Shore's history. Where would we have been without it, without the vision, without the tenacity, without the dedication to this cause, to this tremendous construction project? So with that, I want to thank you again for allowing me to be a part of this and for this great celebration, and thank you all for your interest and support and for attending today.